Morning Cruise, Dave, Bill, and Carmen here at the Joy FM with Lauren Daigle today.
Yes. This is a day that we have been looking forward to for a long time. Lauren, we were with you last August, and we all three of us left that day and said, man, we just want a sit down with her where we can just really, really talk and just really get to know you. So you've been so gracious to invite us backstage. You're on tour, and we're here with your camp, your family on the road. So just want to talk a little bit. Actually, I want to go back to August.
Okay.
And so one of the things that jumped out at me when that day that we were there, 2020 really marked you.
Oh, yeah.
It marked you a lot. And there are so many things that you said that I resonated with. And actually, one of them was when you were talking about your fear of flying, that was a thing. But when you were talking about 2020, I think it was just a marked year for a lot of us. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, the shocker is that we're 4 years away.
I know.
How did that happen?
Yes.
You could, my friends and I were laughing about this the other day. You could tell us, I feel like we might be 2 years away from it. Year and a half. Does not feel
4.
like 4 years has passed since that time. But yeah, for me, it was definitely, I think for a lot of people, it was that like glass bubble we were living in got completely shattered. Mm-hmm. And that was really hard. The animosity of the time, what people were experiencing towards each other, that was very difficult. I like life. I love life. I love harmony. I love when people get along. And I think wrestling, what is this new reality that we're all living in? What is this? And I'd hear that phrase, new reality. I'd be like, there's no such thing. I'm stuck in my ways. Don't change me. But from that experience, I had someone, it was one of Lee's friends, actually sat down and told me, they were like, the sooner you recognize that there's a little bit of uncertainty, it's that now every corner you turn, you're kind of waiting, you're kind of playing that game like, is the rug going to be pulled out from under me? That dance a little bit. And that was really perpetuating for me the panic attacks and things like that on planes. And I'll never forget, I went through this, and still to this day, I have to I'll work myself through it. The other day I was on a flight.
Give us therapy, because I didn't go to therapy for this. So if you did get some professional guidance.
I got
charge good money for this.
No,
when you're done.
I can't. I got two really, really, really good. One was a neurologist because COVID kind of did a number on me. My body still has never been the same since, but it didn't, you know what it is? It's that thing of, I might not feel as great as I used to. I was talking with a friend the other day. I said, remember when I used to stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning, wake up at 5 or 2 p.m. in the afternoon and still have enough energy to just go for it, and write this or do this, be this. Gone are the days. I'm like, if I don't get 9 hours of sleep, and even sometimes 9 hours of sleep is not enough. But it changed a lot of me, but it never took the core. I love what I get to do. I love getting to be on stage. I love those moments. And if anything, it taught me not to take any of it for granted,
Yeah.
So because it affected my body, a lot of things changed. Personality things, like anxiety. I wasn't really a very anxious person before. I was kind of thrill seeking. I loved cliff jumping. I loved skydiving. There's all of that adrenaline. That was kind of the way I loved to live. And I didn't see risk in moments, right? And that kind of changed through the period of COVID. And the other thing that changed, there were even personality things that changed. There were moments of my body just ached, lots of pain. My thoughts were very foggy. I couldn't think clear. Obviously, there was a respiratory component to it, but I say all this, I'm going into the specifics for a reason.
Okay.
So here I am, I go to my friends and I tell them something is not right with my brain. I can feel my body is not who I used to be. Something is different. And I feel like a lot of people feel kind of crazy for saying I got this virus, and then more than just my lungs hurting were affected, and people don't really talk about it. And I've gone along the journey and I've asked friends, hey, when you got this virus, did you feel this, or did you feel that? Did you feel this? fast forward, I had a friend tell me, you need to see this neurologist. His name is Dr. Amen. Just see what happens. So I went to him, and he talked to me about how the brain, how much inflammation is brought into the brain through COVID, and how the media and everything really talked about the lung aspects of it, but didn't really talk about the brain aspect of it. And for me, that was enough to just understand, oh, okay, it's a virus. There's going to be other components. It's not going to affect every single person the exact same. So when I went to him, he told me there's a lot of other, there's sports athletes and people that he was working with that used to be really dynamic in their performance. And after COVID, their brain would not allow their body to operate the way that it used to. And he worked with them to get them back on the path of recovery. So here I am telling them my personality's changed. I used to be someone who loves adventure, and it's a culmination of two, right? The world was changing, so there was that element of somewhat paranoia, but then also this virus colliding at the same time. It kind of messed with my body system. So here I am sitting with him, and I'm telling him all this, and he said, what you need to do when you're getting on a plane, unfortunately, after every time you've had a panic attack, you have to get on another plane. And I was like, am I paying this guy? I was like, are you kidding me right now? He's like, give yourself 100 flights. And at this time, to explain the gravity, they got the defibrillators out one time that I was on a plane because they thought I was having that bad of a heart attack. So it was like very intense panic attacks, not like, oh, I just have a bit of sweat, I'm nervous. No, like full body takeover, flopping like a fish on the thing, like the real deal.
Wow.
And I'd never experienced anything like this. I didn't know what this was. Like, this was something so different. So he tells me, buy 100 flights, you won't even know that it exists. And I was like, he said, the only way, and I might have said this back in August, but the only way to get over fear or whatever is to go through it.
Wow.
The only way to get over an anxiety is to go through it.
Ugh.
The only way to defeat that area is to go through it. There is no workaround. The brain, the neural pathways, the way that your brain is wired, you actually have to do the work to rewire the space that trauma or fear or anything like that was brought in. You have to make a conscious decision every time that presents itself to say, how do I recreate the healthy neural pathway? The Lord says all the time, do not fear, do not fear, do not fear. And we might take that for granted. I don't necessarily think in terms of do not fear. So it really changed me to say, no, I have to make a cognitive effort to say, Lauren, in this moment, you cannot fear. Do not fear. What is it that I'm fearing? What is it that I'm navigating? What is the big risk here? What is it that I'm actually up against? So he gave me the tips of go through 100 flights.
Did you book 100 flights?
Oh yeah,
You
we did. I don't know. I might be on 200 or 300 at this point.
Yeah, this is great news for Carmen. You only have 95 to go.
Yeah.
And you're cured.
Yes. Well, okay. So this is another thing that'll make it personal.
Yeah.
This is what he said.
Yeah.
He said, ask yourself 5 questions,
Okay.
and I'm going to only remember a couple of them, but
That's okay.
those were enough for me to get through it. But he said, ask yourself, what is the fear? So you have to identify
That
it.
this plane's going down.
That this plane's going down.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just do it right now.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay,
So
well,
I'm flying to Banff, and I'm telling you, Lauren, when you said that, 2020 is like, I don't want to fly.
Yeah.
I don't want.
Yes.
I don't want to get. So anyway,
Yeah.
ask me.
And
this
they
plane's
asked
going
us-
down, or it's going to be hijacked.
They also showed us a million videos
Yeah.
of everybody turning against each other on a plane. And let me tell you this, you know what helped me the most?
What?
I had to get on this one flight that I was before they closed the boarding door, I was getting up because it was already starting. I was like, oh, this is not happening. I'm by myself on this plane. And I told the woman next to me, excuse me, ma'am, do you mind getting up? I need something came up and I have to exit the plane. She's like, she literally said to me, I don't think so. And I said, okay, honey, you're about to see the Louisiana side of this girl come out. What do you mean? I need you to get up. I have got to get out of this plane. And she said, listen, I don't think something came up. And I said, what? She said, I think something else might be going on, and I'm here. I'm going to be here for this whole
The
plane
Lord
ride.
put her there.
He did. And she said to me, she was like, anything you need, I'm going to sit with you. And I promise you, she said, I'm a mama. She said, I promise you, I will get you from this point to the next point.
Wow.
And you know what
Yeah.
happens is when someone says, I can cover you in this moment. Peace. The Lord's peace just fell on me. And I had to make the conscious effort to say, am I about to trust a stranger when every video that has been shown during the pandemic was how much people were against each other?
Yeah.
And you realize, wow, wait, it's not all true. It actually isn't all true. And I sat next to that woman. She got me through that fight. Next fight, by myself. I say, all right, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? And I said, well, it helped the first time. So I then started the process of every time I chose a seat, if I'm on Southwest or whatever, anytime I chose a seat, I would say to the person next to me, if I have a panic attack, can you help me? Like that brave, like just like calling it for what it is. And some of them would be like, what? Or I would just strike up a conversation and say, hey, I really want to know about your life. Where are you from? What is? And I started realizing the community that you can find on a flight, like actually sitting next to someone and saying, hey, I get a little concerned. I get a little nervous when I'm on a plane. Do you mind just chatting with me? I'm telling you, the people that you would look at and think they would never talk to you. I had this one man look at me and go, I'm not much of a talker on planes, to which I had to make the decision, are you going to help me or not?
Yes.
Like, am I getting off this flight or not? He looked at me and goes, I'm not much of a talker, but I mean, I guess we could talk to each other. One of my favorite conversations. We had such a
great.
good time,
So
just
good.
chatting.
good.
So it was funny because there was so much fear, and it was actually God selecting people each
put
time. There was one time, these two kids, I walk into the terminal or whatever, I'm coming to the gate and screamed, Lauren Daigle, whatever. And I was like, oh, here we go. And I'm already battling the anxiety because I know I'm about to get on a plane, right? And I'm sitting there just, and I hear this. And then I'm like, oh no. They come by and I literally hear them. They're like, can we take a picture, whatever. And then the little girl, she's 6 years old, looks up at her mom. Mom, can we sit with Lauren Daigle? Can we make sure that we're sitting next to her? And the mom was like, I don't think. And I looked at them. I looked at her. I was like, it's fine. And here I am like, God, you have a serious sense of humor. So it was me, a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old,
Oh my goodness.
all on the same row. We had the actual time of our life. And I got through that fight laughing hysterically because I was like, Lord, you just distracted me just enough. And now you're actually starting to give me gifts.
Yeah,
Like
that's
these
good.
gifts started getting presented. So I started recording people's stories on planes and thought to myself, I don't know if this could be like a flight anxiety podcast or something like, to help people out with it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll go back to the questions. One, what's your fear? That the plane's going down.
Yeah.
Two, how it was something like, is this fear out of your control or in your
Yes.
control? Yeah, you feel out of control. What was the other one? It was what brings you peace within that thought?
Nothing.
Yeah, literally. Okay,
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
feel, the root of it is that you
Yes.
feel helpless.
Yeah.
So the
Okay, that's
whole,
good.
you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
then you identify, I just actually feel helpless.
Helpless. Yeah.
I feel out of control.
Yeah.
And then you come and replace that with truth. What is the truth? Okay, actually I don't need to be in control. I don't actually need to be helping myself in this environment because God is going to hold me through.
Yeah.
Even though that feels so distant. Like thanks God, I love the Christianese, but actually for me, there was this one time I was by myself, had a panic attack, and I said, Lord, right now I need you. Right now. Like, the level this is getting to. Hands started shaking. I was alone. I said, you know what is about to take place, and I need you. I don't know what airline you're flying, but this also helped. There is a place for a plane to land every 15 minutes in the entire continental U.S. So that helped me because when I had this panic attack, they said if it gets to a certain extent, we will have this plane landed in 15 minutes.
I did not know that.
And that brought me peace.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, there's where I feel helpless, they have a system of help already initiated. Like they have a way for help to already be in motion. So basically you go through the series of identifying. For me, it was I'm afraid of dying. That's what it was. I was like, I'm afraid to die in a state of I in a place of lack of control. And so then he starts to realize, okay, but if you die, then what? And you're like, all right, that sounds really good. But he said, but tell your brain that every time. And then in 100 flights, it's not going to, the first time's not going to be the all solve. But get 100 flights down and you'll be like, oh, I have the answer for that fear. I have the answer for that fear. I have the answer for that fear. And your brain will start to gravitate to the truth greater than the fear. And that's the practice, right? Yeah. The other practice that is an immediate help, because sometimes that's a little too heady for me. The immediate help is it's called the 228 breathing, I think is what it is. And you breathe in for 2 seconds, hold for 2 seconds, and then breathe out for 8. You do that for 3 minutes, and your central nervous system, fight or flight, your parasympathetic, completely slows down. And I am telling you that it's wild. And this doctor is a Christian. He said, why do we negate that the Lord who breathed the earth into existence would not give us the tool of breath to recreate for ourselves an environment? Lord, I feel anxious. I feel overwhelmed. I feel insecure. God, can you help me? Yeah. I've given you breath. I've actually created this system in your body so that you can overcome fight or flight moments. And it rocked my world.
Okay.
It actually rocked my world. I'm going to send you the app.
Okay.
It's called Happy
got
Brain.
a master class.
I tell you what, therapy, I feel so bad because I want to get to your music. I want
Yeah,
to talk about
we'll
your
do it.
music
It's great.
this morning.
Yeah.
But therapy with Lauren Daigle. I mean, I tell you what, I love this.
Lauren, can we book another session?
Yeah, anytime.
I got issues too.
I feel like you have to walk through it to just know the
Oh my
answers.
goodness. All right.
3 takeaways.
Yes.
Look for your neighbor.
Okay.
Love your neighbor as yourself.
Yep.
God will put neighbors around you.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, the breathing exercise.
breathing.
I'll tell you, it's called Happy Brain.
Okay.
And then number 3, the questions. Okay, which always result to, God, you are in control.
Yes, he is.
It is.
Amen.
And it doesn't feel good in the moment. I'm like, yeah, you are in control. And that's why I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
So thank you. I want to be in control. I want to know that I'm not helpless in this. But identifying that and just being able to remind yourself of scripture
Yeah.
in that place is
good.
helpful.